Alright, so continuing on with the setup, with the document properties options, we're only going to get those when we have a document open, our part, assembly, or a drawing. So if all I see when I go into the system options is the system options, then we also have the Soliworks splash screen. Nothing really is in there. Alright, so all of these should have carried over as system default or modal properties. Right now we're in the ISO modified because I changed the units over. But if you want to go over to ANSI or straight ISO or any of the other standards, you can pick those out of the group, and that will set some of the way the dimensions are viewed and text and orientations, those kinds of things. I've mentioned before that I left ISO on, and there's certain things that I like about ISO that I want to keep, so I stay mostly in the ISO. But if you prefer ANSI, that is certainly going to be the more standard direction in the United States. So annotations. Fonts, if you don't like the Century Gothic, I would avoid the script, the really funky ones. Stay with a nice Arial, a nice something that is not too far out there in the way of text. It's going to improve readability. Century Gothic is pretty much standard. We can stay with our standard leading and trailing zeros depending on how we've set up the standard, balloon definitions, and then individual fonts if we just wanted to change something at that level. Datum references, geometric tolerances, notes. I mean, everything in here can be somewhat customized. Then the dimensions. How do we want the kind of the global or the highest level settings to look, and then specifics within each of the subcategories. All right, virtual sharps, where we put a radius or we put a chamfer. We want to measure to that inferred or what was a corner. How do we want that to look? Right now I have it set for witness lines with a dot. Maybe we'll change that just for fun, see if it barks at it for elevating the changes again. All of the settings for the tables, again, a font, basically how they're going to be set up and organized. Let's go ahead and pull some of those back up. And then Dim Expert refers back to a lot of the settings in the model-based definition, the MBD. And as the 2019 Y14.47, I believe it is, standard comes along, where organizing, naming, being able to manage more of the model-based definitions comes online and becomes more mainstream. I think we'll see some of these, we'll be able to adjust some of these settings and work through what the real functionality is there. Alright, so depending on your graphics card, cosmetic threads are fine. Shaded cosmetic threads can do some weird things, so I would say try it, but if you notice all of a sudden anything weird happening with your hole wizard holes or any of those items, we'll probably want to come turn that one off. Always display text at the same size. Yeah, text kind of will overrun and take over the screen if it's not at a 1-to-1 scale. Might bump it up a little bit, but not much. Let's see, annotations, we can turn those on and off. The grid, I've done grid before where if you want to display the grid, let's see, it's not going to come on right away, but major grid spacing is every 10 inches with 10 minor at 1 inch. More than likely the major grid spacing for a lot of the parts of design would be 1 inch, with every 100 thousandths being a minor line. So a dark grid line and then a minor. With it snapping to the grid, then kind of limited to the 100 thousandths. It's maybe not bad having it in the background. And when I've tried to use the grid in the drawings, it kind of shifts the grid to the view and not necessarily to the sheet format. So not a big fan. Let's put it that way. But we can turn the grid on. Right now it's set to display. Oh, we're not in a sketch. So real quick, going in a sketch, we see the front plane highlight. If I open up the sketch, there's the grid. So each of the dark lines is 1 inch, and each of the small is 100,000. So that's getting a little busy. And we'll come back up to the view, turn that off. I'm a little more free-form than grid and snapping to the grid, so I don't usually leave that one on. Oh yeah, we can discard. So there's that prompt to close the sketch. Anytime I would click Do Not Show Again, I would have to go back into the options to find that setting to turn it back on. All right, so we're over in Document Properties, into the Detailing, Grids and Snaps. All right, so that became unchecked when I toggled it over there. The units, we're still in that custom mix and match. I think I brought up before that if you wanted fractional inches, then we come over and we tell it that we want to go to a 1/16 of an inch, and then just round to the nearest fractional. Otherwise, you still end up with some decimals on your drawings. All right, so little things like that, being able to manipulate, find your way around. Also, the decimal rounding, halfway from 0, halfway towards 0, half to whichever way you want to do it. Model displays, so things within the part itself can set custom colors. Material properties, this was the default through most, say, 98 to about 2008. We would set the material properties. Now that we actually have the material folder, we have a lot more functionality in the group. So notice it defaults density to that of water. All right, in image quality, depends on how circular you want your circles to be. They can have little facets in them and still look pretty good. This will also, if you're having a hard time selecting, it shifts the position just a little bit. So even though you see the edge, you might have to select out here to actually pick up that edge. All right, so we can make that a little faster. It just depends on your video card and the kind of level of quality you need. Model-based definitions for sheet metal, weldments, plane displays, configurations, rebuild on save mark to new configurations. Okay, I'm not familiar with that one, but I do use configurations quite a bit, so we can come back to that. All right, so in our mix, we've touched on most of the high points. The toolbox is only going to be active in the assembly, so even if we turn it on, I'm not adding fasteners and pins or anything else to this part, and so we would want to preserve that for the assemblies. The Solidworks content, then things that are specialty items, blocks and electrical, hydraulic symbols. Usually the weldments, I'll point out to download the ANSI inch for the profiles for the weldments. I'm not sure what's under the curriculum, so let's see what they've got. So fundamentals, different projects installed with the software if you want to take a look through those. When we looked at the File Explorer, things that were being added within the group, so being able to navigate within SolidWorks, basic Explorer items. The view palette is for the drawings, so don't expect anything to come up there. Appearances, we did the basic scenes, and you can pick a scene as the default or settings. And then custom properties, let's see if we've set any custom properties. So it is finding my custom properties, so I'm going to have to see where I put those. Typically that would be something that I would point over into the mix. So what you should probably be seeing is a yellow box that says click here to make a custom property, and then this is kind of the graphics interface of being able to interact with items that end up in our file properties, which is file and properties, and being able to track that metadata, the types of things that we want to populate the title blocks of our drawings within this part. Another way to get to it is to come up to the file properties. All right, so that gets us reasonably well set up to start doing the sketching and going through the exercises and the assignments.